how do you see the roles and function of children in a polygynous family?
Well, I have a chapter in Volume 2 as well called Legacy and Lineage. It's called Blood and Kindred, Legacy and Lineage in Polygynous Culture. And in there, I talk about how, children are supposed to be a reflection of balance in the universe. Now, I'm being real cosmic with this, but that's what they're supposed to be. And on an earthly level, you're supposed to propel them into the next few generations. I mean, they're supposed to literally build on top of what you've already built. And they're supposed to be a culmination of the things you have learned. They're not supposed to have the same, in Christian culture, we say sin, committing the same sins. You're basically weeding out and creating a whole new person who will not make the same mistakes you did, but at the same time, they're building on top of the righteous things that you've done. And it spreads your family outward into the world because you have your own culture, literally.
Mm-hmm.
And children are also to maintain wealth. Even when you go on a more earthly, very base level, they are to maintain the wealth of the family as they get older. They are supposed to be trained, and they bring an emotional health that you can't have when you're just sharing space with adults. Okay, it's been well known, for instance, that elders live longer when there are children around, and when there are 2 and 3 generations below them who live around them or with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what children are bringing to the table. I also include living wills. I talk about wills. I talk about last will and testaments. I talk about living wills. I talk about educating children from home, things like that. I mean, I go all into that, and I'll have a lot of resources for homeschoolers.
So, what do we do now when we say, okay, we have a man, and let's say he has 6 wives, and he has to divide his time amongst the wives, and let's say amongst those 6 wives, he now has 18 to 20 children. How does he give his time to his daughters as opposed to how he gives his time to his sons?
Well, they both require time. Traditional cultures, though, generally had the young men and the young women split up for most of the day. I haven't seen any cultures, past or present, who just, except, in the West, where men, like boys and girls, are always with each other all the time, like most of the day, because the young girls have to be trained in how to become young women. The only way to do that is to hang with the women. Okay, and it's not a good look, as for a man just be hanging around a whole bunch of girls all the time. And the boys, they have the role, and then the family comes together eventually, and the children can play together. But the man in the family, if things are ideal and he's built home-based business, he can just move among his family as needed, because each child is, and this is whether a boy or a girl, they're going to have their own individual needs of time and energy put into them. Okay, for instance, as a child, I didn't need that much time. I was raised mostly by my mom, because the man she was seeing, he did not live with us. But I didn't require a whole lot of time. Okay, we would have those times. We were face to face, sometimes at dinner, sometimes go on my own to eat. We didn't have like this perfect setting. But you don't have to spend the same amount of time with each child. And a man has to be, this goes back to the sensitivity you mentioned early in the discussion. A man must be sensitive not only as women, but to each individual child. And some people may say, well, man, that's a lot. Well, you decide to engage in polygyny, so yes, it's going to be a lot.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a lot to it, but that's really what it is at the base. You have to be sensitive to each child's needs, and then just go with the flow. Okay, some children need to be touched more than others. Hugs, talking with them face to face, things like that.